Welcome to the Author's Porch, where every good conversation happens. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride from author to author. We want to give you an experience where you learn and enjoy the conversation. Authors tell you about their journey, you learn about new books, and at the end of the day, you go home with a smile on your face because the Author's Porch is a beacon of light, bringing you home to the family you never knew you had. We hope that you enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Author's Porch, where every great conversation happens. It happens because we trusted Brendan and Vamsi at Master Talk to show us the power of effective communication. We also make sure we have a great cup of coffee from Third Day Coffee Seguin, a Christ-centered, veteran-owned coffee company. Today on the show, we have Myra. You know what I did, Myra? I forgot to ask you how to say your last name.
You can remember it by thinking mean Mrs. Levine. That's what I told all my kids' friends. Mean Mrs. Levine. You'll never forget that.
You know, we were chatting so much. I was so intrigued with our conversation. I forgot to ask you. We have Myra Levine. How are you doing, Myra?
I'm doing very well. How are you, CJ?
I'm good. And I should know that already because we were chatting for like 20 minutes, just totally. And I was like, usually I tell people, no, stop. We got to have enough for the show. But then I thought we're going to have plenty for the show because Let me introduce you just a little bit so they can get to know you. Sure. I say they like they're behind me or something. There's nobody behind me. I'm already weird right now. Okay, so guys, Myra is on a mission to make sure that nobody dies with their story still inside of them by helping writers write better books. As a writing coach, Myra challenges her authors to write great memoirs, short stories, or page-turning novels. Myra pulls from her decades of experience of producing radio and television. Her first novel, Revenge of the Soccer Moms, is available in print, ebook, and audiobook. Her second novel, The Dead Mothers Club, is available on print and ebook, and the audiobook will be released on Audible this year. The sequel of Revenge of the Soccer Moms is well underway. You are quite busy, Myra.
I am, but I'm doing something I truly love, so it's all good.
Yeah, and I can tell because when we were talking behind the scenes before we got started, I was intrigued because we were talking about how you were telling me the story of going to Iowa to take classes. So can you tell the audience a little bit about that story? Because I was like, I want to go.
When they go back in person, I'm going to go back. And I don't even know. I'll think of something that they haven't taught me yet. What happened to me was I had been doing my video business for a couple of decades. I adopted a baby. I realized baby needs a dad. That means you better start dating again. I met a very nice guy. And when he proposed, he said, if you don't want to work anymore, you don't have to. And I thought, bingo, you should go into used car sales because I'm buying. I was tired of trying to run that business. I had employees. I had tremendous overhead. It was a very difficult way to make a living. And here I had adopted a Chinese little girl who is now 26, but I didn't have enough money to keep the lights on. I mean, I had to falsify my own tax returns to be qualified to do the adoption. I think the statute of limitations is up. So she's 26. They can't take her back. So I got married. I became a stay-at-home mom, which was very different for me. I'd been running a business and I'd been working all my life. And so now I'm a stay-at-home mom in the suburbs of Indianapolis, where I never thought I would be. And I realized, these moms I'm meeting, they really are pretty cool. They all came from pretty high-powered careers, and they've taken a few years off to raise their kids and get them into school. And they were a lot of fun and interesting, and we were in a play group. And I can tell you the story in a little bit, but an idea came to me, and a title of a book came to me, and I thought, I read a lot of novels. Surely it can't be that hard to write a novel because I've been writing my whole life. That's what I do. I wrote all our scripts and TV ads and political ads, lots and lots and lots of political ads, which you'd think would prepare you for fiction writing right there.
Yeah.
So I spent 4 years working on this novel. I had a writer's group, I still have it. And I felt like a budding genius. I was going to be traditionally published. There would be a movie deal. I would be living
Well,
in,
yeah.
a big mansion somewhere on my royalties. So I went to a conference that was put on by a really well known agent. And after the conference, she took me aside and she said, I'm hearing really great things about you. I want to see your first 50 pages.
Mm,
Oh, I was so excited. I was going to be the first writer in history who's never experienced any rejection.
wow.
I was made. So I worked on those first 50 pages until they were as perfect as they could be. I sent them in about 4 months or 5 months. I finally get, and this was a while ago, so things were handled in snail mail. I
Yeah.
get a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a rejection letter. And I thought, what? Excuse me, what? And I had enough gall to email this woman and say, you told me you wanted to see my pages, and now some junior agent has rejected me because it wasn't even her signature on this terrible letter I couldn't read. And she emailed me back like 10 minutes later and she said, you're not ready.
Oh, wow.
And it was sort of horrifying, and I pouted for a little while. But while I was at her conference in California, we shared cabins with total strangers. And this woman I shared a little cabin with had given me a catalog for the University of Iowa's Summer Writing Festival that had taken place that previous summer. She had it in her bag and she said, if you really want to be a great writer, this is a great place to go. And I suddenly remembered that catalog. I hadn't taken it out because I certainly didn't need it. I was going to be famous and
Well, yeah.
successful.
An agent asking for your book. You were
Well,
made.
yeah. So, so I took it out and I started leafing through the pages, and I realized I don't even understand the course descriptions.
Oh, wow.
The one that popped up in front of me first was about dialogue. It was a whole weekend intensive on dialogue, and I remember it so clearly. It said, "Good dialogue should do more than sound authentic and advance the plot." And I thought, oh, like what? What? And I thought, if you don't even understand the descriptions of the classes, maybe you should take the classes. So that next summer I started going, and I went every single summer. I would take a weekend class and a week-long class. I have to admit, it was an 8-day away from my family, which I did enjoy. I had 2 little kids. And by the middle of it, I had my mother and my mother-in-law living with us in the house. They both had dementia.
Oh, wow.
So I did need to get away.
Yeah.
And I learned so much. Every summer I would come home after the classes and realize you got to rewrite that novel. Now you understand setting. And oh my God, now you understand point of view. Now you know how to write decent dialogue. I took that class. And it took me 14 years to get that novel to where it needed to be. And in that period of time, I got an agent I had an agent for 2 years, and she couldn't sell the novel. And I was still going to Iowa and thinking, maybe it's just not really good enough. I was in the middle of my 10 years of Iowa when I got the agent. And when a real agent says, I love your book, I want to represent you, again, you're like, wow, I'm going to the prom.
Yeah.
I've been asked to the prom. And you don't do a background check on the guy that asked you to the prom. You're just so
Yeah.
glad you're going to the prom. So I was going to the prom. And then it turned out she really didn't have any context. She was really new as an agent,
Yeah.
which is why she was looking for new writers. And so we spent about a year. She had about 5 people she knew to send my manuscript to, and they all came back saying similar things. You're not ready. I'm like, oh my God. And so I finally, in the end, I self-published that book because I thought, It's been 14 years, and all my friends, they've stopped asking me, "So how's that novel coming along?" Because they're feeling embarrassed on my behalf.
Oh,
And I
bless.
thought, "Okay, okay." And it finally I realized I have now made this thing as good as I know how to make it,
Mhm,
and it's time to pull the trigger. And in the meantime, I had taken a break for a couple years and started working on a different novel. That was my second one, The Dead Mothers Club, because I had a little health scare and I was
mm.
pretty sure I was dying. And had two little kids and thinking, well, whoa, whoa, if you die with little kids, who raises your kids? This system is just not going to work for me. We
Wow.
need something better in place for people who need to continue to raise their kids after they die. And so that was the where that came from.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And it's more complicated and sort of more serious and less serious than that. But
Mhm.
so I had started a second book, but I finally self-published, and I realized I really appreciate the freedom that gives you and the ability to write the book you want to write. And so
Yeah.
that's what I do now. I suppose if HarperCollins comes knocking at my door,
Well, I
I
mean,
might give
them
in.
and Penguin Random House, I mean, there's certain ones that you would
Yeah.
open the door for.
That's right.
Yeah,
I would slum, right? I would I
yeah,
would do that. But if
yeah,
they don't come knocking, I have readers who are saying, "When are you going to write the next book? Come on." And it makes you feel good. And
yeah,
now I teach writers because I learned a lot over those 10 years in Iowa and other classes, and I read a lot of books about writing, and I write and I pay attention to what I read, and I read like a writer. So now I'm happy I'm sharing what I've learned in all those classes with other people and helping them maybe get their books out faster than 14 years.
yeah, well, and I think it's marvelous that people take what they learn and they wanna give it back, right? They wanna help other people
Yeah,
do that as well because you saw that need. Not everyone can go to Iowa or their closest, um, community college or university. Not everyone can get accepted for one reason or the other,
sure.
but they can
That's right.
take a course by somebody like yourself or anyone else that might be providing
Yeah,
that a reputable source, of course. So
right.
I think it's great that you're willing to do that for people because it's needed. I mean, I can't find writing sources. I mean, when I wrote I was telling you, when I wrote my first book, I didn't know anything other than I knew how to self-publish, but I
Yeah,
didn't know how to write. And everything that I
yeah.
learned was from Google or
Mhm.
friends or this or that. And my first book is beautifully horrible. You know, I mean, a 5-year-old could probably read it and say it's crappy, but I love it because it was my first, and that freedom that you talk about, but I also know I need to go back and rewrite
Sure.
those, books that I've written because there are things that I didn't understand, the point of
Right.
view, the setting, and all those other things that I'm learning now that I'm uh, understanding more of the writing part of it
Yeah.
because I delved in with the self-publishing, the marketing, and all the business side, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, well now I have to understand the creative writing side of it.
Yeah. And I am working on now trying to understand the marketing side because you write a book, you put your heart and soul into it, and people like it. How do you get it in front of enough people? And frankly, the part of the reason that I started the coaching business was you don't make a lot of money writing. And I really wanted to have it as a source of income. And I found that when I would tell people, yeah, I write novels, they would either say, "Oh, I could never do that," or they'd say, "I've always wanted to do that."
Mhm.
And I realized, you're really saying the same thing. I'd like to do it. If I thought I could do it, I would do it, but I don't know how to do it. And I realized that to me, if you can speak, you can write.
Yep.
You just have to free yourself from that inner third grade teacher who told you, you didn't know that subjects and the verbs and you were getting the gerunds wrong and all that stuff that you could hire probably a 14-year-old to fix if you really needed to.
Yeah.
So, and when I would tell people that I write, they would say, I started writing a novel. Could I send you a chapter and you tell me what you think? And I would always say yes, because people helped me along the way so
Yeah.
much. And I started to realize, you really can figure out when you read these people's work, you really kind of do know where they're a little off track and what they need to learn. Because I remember
Mhm.
learning it all. It hasn't been that long. And so I thought, well, gosh, I should start giving seminars. And I started going into libraries, getting invited by libraries to come in and teach a couple of classes here and there. And then you get a few people to show up, on
Mhm.
a Thursday night at the library. And then COVID hit, and I had contracts with a library north of me, and they called me and said, we can't meet in at the library anymore. We can't have anything in person, and we're
Mm.
going to try this thing called Zoom. Have you heard of it? And I said, yeah, I was on a Zoom call once. I've heard of it. And they said, well, we can either cancel your contract, or if you want to try Zoom, we would do that. And I
Yeah.
thought, you were actually going to pay me. We are not canceling this contract. I
Mhm.
was actually going to make like $100, come on.
Yep.
So I said, sure, sure, Zoom. How hard could that be? And I have to thank COVID for my career as a writing coach, because suddenly everything went to Zoom.
Yep.
And I always knew I would have to do that someday, because you can't build a business like that with people within driving distance of the local library. There's not
Right.
enough people out there. And all of a sudden with Zoom, I went from having, 4 or 5 people show up to now it's like 50 people show up and
Wow.
130 will sign up for a seminar. My seminars are free because they are the best way for people to get to know how I teach, and if they
Mm.
like it and they need some coaching, whether it's a short term or it's a long term kind of an arrangement that they need, they know if they're going to like to work with me after 90 minutes of a free seminar. So I do point of view and how to build a good character, and I talk about how to self-publish, because I try to help people avoid the sharks out there that take thousands of dollars, and
Yeah.
they will print anything you give them, and they won't even check for typos. I try to help people avoid that. So it's and Eventbrite has been a godsend, because people all over the world go into Eventbrite and they do a search for keywords like writing and
Mm.
point of view or character, whatever they search for, and they find me through no great effort of my own. I have a marketing person who's helped me understand that the way that technology works,
Yeah.
and she handles the parts that I find irritating and therefore would probably just avoid and not.
Yes.
So it's been really good for me. We've had to keep upping the number of sort of like seats in the
Mhm.
virtual room. We're up to 150,
Wow.
and they don't all show up. That's okay. 50 people showing up is, to
That's
me, just
that's amazing.
awesome. And they're from all over the world. So I do every seminar twice so we can hit time zones in Europe, and
Mhm.
it's crazy. It's crazy. And when you offer a free event on Eventbrite, you don't even pay Eventbrite. They don't even take a percentage, because there's
Right.
no money changing hands. So I don't pay for ads. It's 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 amazing, but I'm building a career from it, and thoroughly enjoying it.
And not only that, but there's so many people out there that are getting something in life that they need. Like
Yeah.
you are helping humanity because, like me, I remember when I was in this, I think it was seventh or eighth grade, I wrote a short story as part of an assignment. And I took it up and I threw it on my teacher's desk. I was a bad kid, I won't lie. I had, house troubles at home. I'm
Yeah.
from Indianapolis, Indiana, where
Oh
you're at.
yeah.
And I had home problems, so I didn't care about school because nobody cared if I went or even if
Yeah.
I existed for that matter. So when the teacher said, "This is good, you should do this. This is really, really good. I'd love to see another story from you."
Yeah.
It was like something hit me in my brain. Somebody believed in me,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do it more, and I wanted to show people more what I wanted to write, but I never got the opportunity again because nobody believed in me.
Yeah.
You're giving somebody like me and the thousands and thousands of other people in the world an opportunity for somebody to see them. And that's amazing, and
It does feel good.
yeah.
It's funny. One of the things, when I only had 4 or 5 people showing up at a seminar and we would do a writing prompt, everybody could read out aloud what they wrote.
Mhm.
And now with 40 or 50 people, you can't do that. So I always tell the writers, email me what you wrote. I'll give you feedback. There's no
Mhm.
charge because I feel most useful when I can help somebody take that next step or see some little thing that they're doing that's maybe not working for them the way they want it to, and I can make a suggestion. And I'm not the boss, but I make suggestions.
Mhm.
And every if there's 40 people in the room, 4 or 5 will have the guts, and I think it is guts, to send their prompts to me.
Yeah.
And I try to answer really quickly because I know they're home sweating like I would be thinking, "Oh god, she hasn't answered. I bet it was awful. She's probably quit the business and she's selling vacuum cleaners now
Right.
because I suck so much." So I try to answer very quickly
Yeah.
and I'm honest. I'm never mean honest, but I'll say what you did right here, I think would be think about consider writing it in a different point of view. Or here's how you could avoid the he
Yeah.
said, she said thing. I really enjoy that. And that's where you start to feel there's a little bit of a relationship there. And I
Mhm.
love when I realize that there's 10 or 12 people who come to every seminar and
Wow.
and they send other people to me and it really feels great. And it's not something you make $1 million at, but I feel useful in the world. And that means a lot to me just to feel like I learned from great people. Frankly, I'm spouting it right back to these writers because it was helpful to me and I've been there where they are when you don't even quite understand what you don't know yet. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. I already want to sign up for some seminars.
I would love you to do
I'm
that.
like I'm ready for the link, but before we
Well,
get
yeah.
there, before we get there, we're gonna get there. Tell us about your books. Like what?
Okay.
Yeah, the books that you've published. I want to hear about those too.
Well, my first book, The Revenge of the Soccer Moms, it started out I was on I don't know, a bunch of us women were hanging out outside. I think we were in my driveway, just hanging out, yakking like women do. And somebody pointed to the house across the street from mine and said, "Did you hear about those guys? They're getting divorced." And I was kind of shocked because they were little Mr. and Mrs. Cute. Now, I was an older mom. I didn't get married for the first time till I was 41.
Mhm.
And so I was at least a decade older than almost all my new friends, but they were such a cute couple and they had 2 little boys and one with
Mhm.
special needs, nonverbal autism, and I said, You're kidding me. They just seem to be such a great couple." And somebody spoke up and said, "Oh, yeah, he's cheating on her." And I said, "Is that his SUV in the driveway?" And somebody said, "Yeah, that's his." And I said, "You know what we ought to do? We ought to go in that house and drag him out and beat the crap out of him." And everybody's like, "Yeah, we should do that. We should do that." Of course, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And a few minutes later, my next door neighbor said, you guys, you kind of have it backwards. She has been cheating on him for years. And he
Oh.
finally met someone nice."
Uh,
And it went through my head. Just for that moment, I thought, what if we had done what I said?
Poor guy.
Thinking we had knowledge that we didn't have. What if we'd
Mhm.
done that? What kind of a world would that be? And how would
Yeah.
you ever recover from such a stupid act? And at the same time, there was an election coming up. I won't get the years right, but everybody was calling suburban moms soccer moms.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a dismissive little, you're kind of meaningless women. And so I called it Revenge of the Soccer Mom, and there's zero soccer in the whole thing. There's not a moment because
Right?
all their kids are preschoolers. They're too young. But when they accidentally kill somebody, it's an accident. These things happen. And the media gets hold of it. And the media is camped out everywhere. The 24-hour cable news is in the neighborhood because there's nothing else to cover right now. and everybody starts calling them soccer moms, and it really ticks them off. So I called it Revenge of the Soccer Moms because I just thought, this is my revenge for how dismissive y'all are being to my people, you know?
Yeah. Uh,
So that was my first book. And then the second one, in the middle of all of Revenge of the Soccer Moms, I like, just like you're saying, I lost faith in it for a while. I thought,
mm,
this is terrible. You don't know what you're doing. And I was born with dislocated hips, and so I've had 4 hip surgeries over time,
oh,
and I was due for another one, and I was getting, I was middle aged by this time, and so they said, "Oh, you need to come in and have some tests done to make sure you're a good candidate for surgery." So I did that. They called me early the next day and said, Mrs. Levine, we think we found something. Yeah, it's probably nothing, but we want you to come in and have one more test. And it was almost Thanksgiving. We were going to go to Wisconsin visit my brother and my nieces. And I said, "Well, yeah, I'll be back in about a week. So why don't we do it then?" And the woman said, "Well, we'd rather see you tomorrow at 6 a.m." And I thought, "Oh, okay. I'm dying. I'm
yeah,
dying. That's what it is. This can't even wait for a week. I will be dead soon. Oh my God." And I had little kids, and I thought, how do you raise your kids after you're dead? Better figure that out. I mean, it just, you panic.
yeah,
And I realized we do not have a system for how women can raise their children after they die. And we should have a system. So, I just started spinning it out in my head, and
yeah.
it I had to change it a lot because I say it in the forward of the book. The first draft was like everything went just well. This woman figures out how you can communicate with your children after you die and make sure everybody's behaving. And I thought, well, this is not a novel. Things are going too easily. She shouldn't get
Yeah.
what she wants that easy. So I had to change the whole story. But that's the Dead Mothers Club. And
Wow.
so yeah, my novels tend to come from some part of my real life,
Yeah.
highly exaggerated. So
Yeah.
my friends don't dump me. So because they don't know that they're in my books. So
That's I love that. That is the mind of a writer. When something goes on, we go down rabbit holes
oh,
and turn it into a story
yeah.
because it's how we cope.
It's true.
Yeah, it's an internal coping mechanism of a
Yeah,
writer.
that's right. Although I can always imagine the absolute worst outcome from any situation. So like if my kids are supposed to call me and they don't call me on time, I you can only dream of what the horrible things that have befallen them, and then they haven't. And everybody's still alive, but
Yeah.
I have a plot for another novel, so it's all good.
So I have a book called Love Derailed, and
Ah,
that I write novellas. I've never wrote a novel. I
ah,
haven't gotten that far yet because my stories are always end abruptly. But it's called Love Derailed, and it came to me in a nightmare when my
ah.
children were coming home on a train during Christmas. Imagine the title
Yeah.
Love Derailed.
Oh, I like it. I like that.
So of course, the mom's brain and just how our brain goes, we think of the worst case scenario every
Mhm.
single time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%.
yeah, absolutely.
So when you are working with people, you get them in the free seminar, and if they want to go further, then you do coaching, correct? One-on-one coaching?
Yeah. What I'll typically do is I'll say, send me you know what, if you're thinking you might need some help, why don't you send me a chapter or send me a page or send me something that you've written, and I will do little sort of an audition for you. I will tell you what I think of what you sent me and how I think I could help you. And
Mhm.
because I just think you buy if you're going to buy a car, especially a used car, you drive it, right? It's a test drive. So I say
Used
free
car.
test drive. You'll see my input, and you can
Yeah.
decide if it suits you or it doesn't. And so I will come back to them and give them a little proposal based on what I think they need. If it's short, sometimes people just need a little bit of short-term help because they kind of know what they're doing. And sometimes it's a confidence issue. I'll say, "Look, I can hold your hand through the whole thing if you want me to, or we can work together for a couple months, couple chapters, and then you can go off and do your thing. And when you feel like you want me back and you want to get more feedback, we'll start up again. I try to be flexible. I'm not going to retire on this income. Thank God my husband has a good job. So I try to be reasonable in my fees. And I try to give people what they need. And I'm trying to figure out if there's some packages I could put together, because I have a marketing person and she thinks in those marketing terms, which is
Mhm.
God bless her. And I now have a couple people for whom I am writing their books, because they just don't want to write their books. They want to tell me their story. They're both nonfiction at this point. They
Mhm.
want to tell me stories, but they just don't want to try to write it. They have lives. They just don't, that's not their big dream, is to be a writer.
Mhm.
But their name will be prominent on the book. My name will be in little letters. Their name will be in big letters because it was their idea. But they're
Mhm.
paying me to be the writer, and that's been real interesting. That's new. I never thought I would be doing that. But these two people came along and the projects are really interesting and appealed to me as a person, not just
Mhm.
as a writer. So I'm doing a bit of that now too. So that's been it's a different kind of challenge. So I'm in the first case, the woman who she uh her best friend died of Lewy body dementia, which is
Mhm.
what Robin Williams had. It's the
Mhm.
reason, according to his wife, that he committed suicide, was he knew what was coming.
Yeah.
It's a really awful form of dementia. There's no good form of dementia, but it's a
Right.
really nasty one. And she died of that. And this woman felt like if she'd had a book where she could have learned from other people's experiences, what are you going to be facing as the person who is with this person every day? How do you cope with this? What should you expect? What's it like? It's what she wished she had. She wants to create, but not write it. So we're using Google Docs. I love technology.
Yes.
She just talks into Google Docs and does the speech to text. I instantly, it pops up on my laptop, and I can turn it into good prose and
Mm.
flesh out her stories and ask the questions that she forgot to mention and turn it into a book. So technology is fabulous.
It is. I absolutely love it. I share my Google Docs with my PA and with some of my other writing friends that we work together on some
Hmm.
stuff. So it's absolutely fascinating. I love that you're doing that for people because I've worked with a couple people for some business books.
Yeah.
They're the expert in their fields, but they're
Hmm.
so busy.
Yeah.
And I'm going, but they can't put all of their knowledge down on a piece of paper, but they could share it with people. So I've
Hmm.
worked with them to get all of their knowledge down in books
Yeah.
so they can share that with people. And that's what a lot of folks don't understand is writers can do that for you.
Yeah.
If you find the right
Right.
writer, you can, and the technical side of writing is easy for me.
Yeah.
It's the other stuff. Like I have plenty of stories. I still have to learn
Yeah.
when it comes to the fictional side. The
Right.
nonfiction, when it comes to the technical stuff, I can do that. But
Yeah.
it's the I'm looking at the comments. We got some
Yeah.
comments. We've got
Oh,
some folks here
okay.
for you. Sorry, I was like squirrel moment. I have those. Just that 44-year-old brain just and the ADD as well. Yeah, the pink hair that
I
all
like
that.
the pink hair.
Thank you. Well, we've got Shelley Hornack.
Yes. Hi, Shelly.
Yeah, she's here. She's super glad that she's not the only one that goes down squirrel rabbit holes with
Yes.
the stories and stuff. Joyce Callahan. She says, "Hey, Myra," and Elizabeth Johnson loves what you're doing for authors and new authors.
Oh,
And Nicole from California, my dear friend, is here as well. Yeah, so we've had a few people pop in and say hi
that's
to
nice.
Myra. But yeah, I love that you're able to help people that just don't have the time to write it down because you have a phenomenal skill that you've honed through the years that you put the work in to learn it, and now you're willing to give it back to other people by teaching them, coaching them, and now because the folks that are too busy, you're like, okay, well, I'll write it for you, but we're going to
Yeah,
work together and get this done. I mean,
right.
there's this big plethora of tools inside this big bag that you have, and you're willing to utilize them, and I think that that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I get so much pleasure out of it. And there was a short time when I was charging a little bit of money, like $15 for a
Mm.
seminar. And I invariably left every seminar feeling like, you stumbled over this part, you forgot that part, you didn't do that well. And I would sit there and kick myself. And then I realized, the $15 seminar gets this many people, and the free seminar gets this many people.
Yeah,
And why am I charging $15 for a silly seminar when what I really want is to find people who want to work one on one?
yeah,
And so when we decided as a little experiment, let's just stop charging for these things. And it's gone through the roof.
yeah,
It's amazing. And then I get my coaching clients and everybody's happy. And I've helped a bunch of people and I feel useful. That is my currency. I like to feel useful. It makes me feel good about me.
yeah,
And and I know that I think I think I'm a good writer, but I also think I've become a good critic. And I can figure out here's why this doesn't work as well as it should.
yeah,
And I freely admit I'm not for everybody. I think I would have told, well, there's a few authors, Henry James, William Faulkner, Kurt Vonnegut. I probably would have told them, think about food service. You'd really be good in food service. But you're writing. Dear Lord, I hate it. So I'm not for everybody, but I think I have a handle on popular fiction and
yeah,
English, writing for understanding as far as
yeah.
nonfiction goes.
Absolutely. Well, I think we should definitely talk more because
Enjoy that.
you're all that writing side that I'm missing. You have that. And I know the business side and that self-publishing side.
Yeah.
That's my zone of genius. Your
Hmm.
zone of genius is that writing side, that writing the good book. And as Russell Nolte says, you know all the business stuff, but you got to write a good book if you want them to come back. Like I
Yeah.
can get them there, but I can't keep them there because after they read it, they're like, I ain't reading another one.
Oh, you know what? I bet we
So,
could work together 60 days. You'd probably know way more than you think you do. I bet you
well,
do.
oh, I don't know. My English is pretty bad. I mean,
I
trust
don't
me, I've had
know.
a couple editors go, I don't know if I can work with you.
Oh, no. That's the easy part. That's honestly, I don't think anybody, I had very good English teachers in school and I diagrammed sentences. I did all that stuff. And yes, in the end, the book can't look like it was written by a dyslexic third grader. It can't, but you can learn that stuff or somebody else can just fix it for you.
Mm,
That's not the hard part. Telling a great story that makes people want to turn the page and find out what happens next.
mhm.
That's what is harder to teach.
That's true.
Grammar, commas, eh. So
If you
I would love to work with you. It would be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to attend some seminars. We're gonna have to do
Okay.
something together, Myra, because
That would be fun.
I think that we are gonna have more fun out there together. So, if you had any advice that you would give to an author, what would your one big piece of advice be? If you only had one that you could give.
Just write. Write badly. And then write less badly. And then you'll find over time you don't write that badly. But if you never start, you're not going to get anywhere. And that is the toughest thing sometimes for people because they put too much pressure on themselves. Every word must be dripping with gold. And if it's not, I don't dare put pen to paper. No, you can't think of it that way. Write garbage and then fix the garbage. It's okay. That's what we're all doing, frankly, whether we admit it or not. Nobody
I'm right.
with any brains publishes their first draft. Nobody does that.
That's true.
So, whether you torture yourself over every little word or you think like I did for a short time, oh my God, you're such a genius. You're wrong. You're wrong. If you think you're really, really great, you're probably wrong. If you think you're terrible, you're probably wrong. but it is a skill that can be learned.
Mm.
So if you need to learn it, then you find people that'll teach it to you and you learn it.
You attend one of Myra's seminars.
Yeah,
That's what
and
you
they're all
do.
free, so it's all good.
And where can people reach at, Myra?
Well, they can find me at myralevine.com. That's probably the easiest thing because all the seminars are it's a very simple website. You scroll down the bottom, you find out where the seminars are, when. Then they're all on through Eventbrite. So if you search on Eventbrite with keywords like writer, and I think you could probably search for my name too, you'll find my seminars. But myralevine.com, because you can send me an email through that. You can get on the mailing list, God help you. And if you get off the mailing list, that's fine too. My marketing person Julie has strict instructions. Never tell me if anybody drops off the mailing list because it will hurt my precious feelings.
Oh,
Don't
bless.
tell me. Don't want to know. So there's certain numbers that she knows and I don't even care. But so
That's hilarious.
but yeah, so
Uh,
I have an ego. I still have one, but
yeah. So, what do you have coming up? What's your new project?
my next seminars, always do two every month, the same
Okay.
one. I always do a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and
Mhm.
I do it again on a Saturday at 11 a.m. because then people from all over the world can probably find a time that's would work. So the next one in March 9th on Wednesday, it's on point of view because that is one of my I think that's one of the most important topics that people it's hard to get. I didn't understand it. I took a class or two or three on it and finally it started to sink in how important point of view is because point of view determines almost every word you write. You have to know what you're doing, but once you get it, it's like magic. So that's Wednesday, March 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern time and Saturday, March 26th 11 a.m. Eastern time. So you can find those on Eventbrite, or you can find them through my website. And it just you get a they're 90 minutes long. We'll do some writing. I do a lot of yakking at you, but I think people come away feeling like they really got something. I don't I have taken classes where the person giving the class, if it's a low cost or free class, they say, well, I'm going to teach you this much. And if you want the rest, you got to pay me. I really despise that attitude. That's the biggest turnoff in the world. So I tell you every single thing I can think of to tell you about the subject. The only thing that I can't do in a seminar is look at your work and tell you what you're doing right and
Right.
wrong. That's
Yeah.
coaching. So I give all that knowledge away. And I say that next step, if you need it, is a little one-on-one.
Yeah.
So I think I'm being honest about that with people and I think it's working.
I think you just became a lot of people's new favorite friend.
Oh, and I think you're my favorite friend too.
I think
You
I think
like
you
that
just
my
made a lot
hair
of
is
people
black.
happy.
I know. And if you say something nice about my hair, I'll be with you forever. So,
Oh
Although
yeah, it's
God, today
fabulous.
it looks like I don't know what happened here, but
Oh, I put a little clip in mine. I was like, I'm not even messing with
ah.
it. Put a clip. I haven't even done it since COVID started. I just no trim. I just put pink hair dye in it and go.
Oh, wow. No, I'm
Well,
justifying. I've been getting haircuts for quite a while, so
I gave it up. I'm just like, screw it out. I'm done. Well, Myra, we've come to the part of the show where we turn it to the
yes.
Myra Levine show.
Levine. Mean Mrs.
Levine. Oh
Levine,
my
remember?
gosh,
Yeah.
I should remember. It's like Adam Levine, my favorite person to look at.
Well, that was not my husband's family name to begin with. Their real name
Oh,
was Lipschitz, and they changed it. And I told him 100 times, if really, you need to thank your great grandfather because if I had seen your real last name and thought Myra Lipschitz, I'd have said, nope,
not doing.
we don't even need to meet this guy. So,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
no,
Poor guy.
I
Oh my
know.
goodness. Well, we're gonna make it the no, I'm just joking. Myra Levine show. And we're gonna give you those 2 minutes to
Okay.
share with our audience, your audience, anything that you would like to share about what you do, how you do it, and anything that you want them to know about you. So I'm gonna take myself off screen, give you those 2 minutes, and we'll see you in a few minutes, okay?
All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
My name is Myra Levine, and I'm a writer and a writing coach. I write memoir and I write novels, and I spent my most of my life writing nonfiction kinds of things for video. But what I do now is help writers become better writers, and sometimes I will help people. I will write their books, but most of the time, my real love is to help people who want to be better writers become better. And I do that with free seminars that you can find on Eventbrite. I do them on Wednesday night, and then I'll repeat them on a Saturday morning. And you can see the times. Everybody's in different time zones. So I'm in Indiana, so we're on Eastern time. But I will tell you every single thing I know about point of view, or how to build great characters, or how to write effective dialogue, how to self-publish, because I'm big on that. And if you're going to self-publish, my attitude is you shouldn't spend money on it. You can do it for free. And I help people avoid the sharks that are out there wanting to charge thousands of dollars. But that's a side thing. My main goal is to find writers who want to be better and find a way to help them. And so I do that with the seminars, and I do that with one-on-one coaching. And I would love to have a conversation with you. There's no charge to book an appointment with me, to have a little chat on Zoom, and you can tell me what you're looking for, what you think your issues are. I would have you send me something that you've written so that when we meet, I can tell you what I thought of what you sent me and what help I might be able to give you. So if you go to myralevine.com, you'll find me, and you'll find a link to my calendar. And I would love to have a little chat with you, and we'll see if we would enjoy working together. I think you're muted.
I do this every single time.
I know.
I do it every single time. You'd think I'd learn by now. I'm thick-skulled. Must be the Indiana person in me.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you have to have something going for you in Indiana.
Yeah. I'm born and raised there for my whole life. Then I left. But okay, so I've had, and I'll repeat what I was saying when I was on mute, since I was the only one that got to hear that. I've had an absolute blast talking to you. I am going to look at my schedule, but I definitely want to attend one of your seminars.
I would love to have you there.
Yeah, and just, I think that we have a lot of synergy with what we do in helping authors. And I love that you're willing to give back. And I do a lot of that myself. So I think that we could have many, many, many more conversations. And I think you have some things that I need in my writing career. So
I think you have some knowledge that I need too. So I think this would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that message that came across my Facebook from our good friend Daniel that introduced us.
That's right. I hadn't remembered how that happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
I call him Jack because I told him one time that we were going to do like this Threes Company thing, and he was going to be the Jack in the Threes Company. So you'll have to tell him he's still going to be Jack, but
okay.
So yeah, he's great. He does my website hosting. He is just an amazing human being, just one of the kindest hearts that I've met. Yeah. So Myra, this is not our last time talking. I can't wait to attend one of your seminars and tell everybody about it as well. So make sure, guys, you come back every single week and watch us either live or here on the podcast right here on Facebook. You can ask Alexa or Siri to play our latest episodes. Head to our website, catch the latest issue of the magazine, because a new one's coming out April 4th. And our blog posts are going to start back up here very soon as well. We want to continue making authors' dreams come true by providing them a platform to shine. We'll see you guys next time. And if you appreciate conversations like we do and want to become a better speaker, visit our friends Brendan and Bonzi at mastertalk.ca, where they teach you the power of your voice. Don't forget, stay awake with a nice cup of coffee from Third Day Coffee Seguin, the best cup of coffee on this side of heaven. That's thirddaycoffeeseguin.com. Until next time, my friends, I'm CJ. There's Myra. Go read her books and go to her seminars. Bye, Myra. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye. It was a pleasure.
Thanks.
The Author's Porch is a certified veteran-hosted podcast. Show your support. Tune in, share, and subscribe.